Greetings, guys, gals, non-binary pals, and welcome back to another video. I have recently noticed that the videos you all seem to like the most that I create, at least as of recently, are the videos about parents, like toxic boy moms, beige moms, etc. They seem to be my most popular videos, and I get it. I hear you. We all have parental trauma and issues, and I get it because same. So along that same sort of theme, since it seems to be what is most wanted, I thought that today we'd switch it up a little bit, and instead of looking at toxic boy moms like we've done the past few times, we're gonna look at some toxic girl dads, which are one and the same, but also very different. And I had a few people request this on my last toxic boy moms video, so I thought I would oblige. So that's what we're gonna do today. Before we get into it, I would like to say a massive thank you to today's patron of the day, Mandy. I appreciate you hugely. Thank you so much for all of your support, and I hope that you enjoy this video. If you would like to become a patron, you go to patreon.com/savvycat or click the top link in the description. It starts at as little as £1 a month, and I appreciate everything greatly. Toxic girl dads are a little different to toxic boy moms for obvious reasons, but the general overall vibe of them is the weird, over possessiveness, which is shared with toxic boy moms as well. It's the possessiveness over their daughters, but it's for a weirdly different reason. A lot of the time, it's very much about them sexualizing their daughters and about not trusting other men or other boys or whatever. It's about sexualizing them from children, from a very young age, and being possessive and threatening partners, etc. It's not new to this channel. It also covers things like favoritism and obviously misogyny and the likes. So we are going to be looking at some of that, starting with a great, fantastic trend that came up when I first searched this, which was no boyfriend until. And there are thousands upon thousands of TikToks under this tag, and they're all along the same idea. They are all kind of like this one, where you see a dad sit down with his very young daughters who probably can't even read and get them to sign a contract that says no boyfriend until 2043, no boyfriend until 2056, etc. There are thousands of them, and they get hundreds of thousands of likes too, and a lot of people laughing at it and joking about it and stuff, and I cannot express how weird it is. These are the same people who love to go out there and be let kids be kids, stop forcing sexualities on our children. It's why are you thinking about the dating life of your toddler? Why are you doing that? Just let them exist. They don't even know what dating is. They don't even know what romance is. Why are you tricking them into signing this thing that says they won't date until they're in their 50s? I get that it's a joke, right? It doesn't really mean anything, but at the same time, I also know that you are going to be over-possessive when they're older. You are going to interrogate future partners. You are going to do that whole, no one is good enough for my little girl kind of thing, and not let her make her own decisions. Because so many people do that, and it's so normalized. You see it in, all TV and movies. You see it everywhere. It's so normal for dads to be overprotective and overpossessive of their daughters, and I want to know why. And that's ignoring the heteronormativity of the statement as well, right? It's not no dating until blank, it's no boyfriend until. So does that mean she's allowed to get a girlfriend, or is that gonna lead to something else entirely? I really want to know that, but also I don't really want to know, actually. Maybe I don't want to know. I just want to know why you're thinking about the dating life of your toddler. Why are you concerned about that right now? And then even when she grows up, even when she is an adult or even a teenager, why is it that much of your business? Let your daughter have relationships, It's okay to be concerned and worried about your kids being hurt. That's a totally valid thing to worry about and to care about, but you should be there for them, and you should be encouraging them to have healthy relationships and relationships that make them happy, because if you're possessive of them, they're going to rebel against that, you know? The more you cling on to them and are like, you're not allowed to date, you're not allowed to date, you're not allowed to date, the more likely they are to end up in a bad relationship with a bad person just to break away from what you are doing. You have to have trust, and you have to let your child exist and express themselves and find themselves in relationships. And like, that is the thing with this whole thing. Like I said, it's such a normalized and like seen as comedic almost thing that so many fathers do in the media and in real life, obviously. And it's seen as so normal, and it's so hyped up, and everyone joins in and everyone laughs and everyone's like, you know, you'll have to bring the shotgun out, which is an insane thing to say. Oh my God. And it's a lot of threats of violence and such. And I don't think anyone has ever expressed why. Like, I've never heard a dad express why he's like this, why he's so possessive of his little girl. I want to know where this possessiveness comes from. I want to know why you're thinking about the dating life of your child. I want to know why you overinsert yourself in your daughter's relationships, because I don't think I've ever heard an actual explanation other than what? Like, I don't want anyone else to have her? Firstly, you don't have her. She's her own person. And secondly, no one else is gonna have the same relationship with her as you. I fucking hope. I hope no one is out there seeking the same relationship that you have with her. You aren't in a romantic relationship with your daughter. A partner would be in a romantic relationship with her. That is a very, very different thing. And you shouldn't be jealous of a romantic relationship that your daughter is in. You shouldn't be jealous of a sexual relationship that your daughter is in. You shouldn't be jealous of any relationship that your daughter is in, because it is a separate type of relationship to you. And if you are viewing your relationship with your daughter as equal to a sexual or romantic relationship, then that is a big yikes. Because you absolutely should not be doing that. You should never ever be jealous of a relationship that your daughter has with someone else. That's very unhealthy. And I also have questions about even the excuse of like, I don't want her to get hurt, I don't want anyone to hurt her, because that brings me to the question of, okay, so do you just assume all men are bad? Because I get told off when I say that. You know, like, it's not all men, except for when men are overprotective of women that they think they own. You know, like, fathers are very overprotective of their daughter because, like, I don't trust men because men will hurt her. I'm like, okay, so it is all men. And then you get like boyfriends who are like, she can't go out clubbing by herself because I don't trust men. So it's like, okay, so it is other men. All these men love to acknowledge that men are the problem. But then when you say that men are the problem, they're like, actually, that's false. I'm like, you are projecting, bro. There is a chance of being hurt in any relationship. And I don't think you have the same attitude about her getting into like a platonic relationship, right? And I would say heartbreak from platonic relationships ending can be much worse than the heartbreak of a romantic relationship ending. But you're not going to stop her from having friends, are you? No. So is it really about her getting hurt, or is it about you wanting to have this weird possession over her? You know, this emotional incest from so many parents is like fucking out of hand, out of control. And I need to know why you're putting that on a baby. Men only want one thing. Men are gonna hurt you. You're gonna get your heart broken. That is a baby. That's a toddler. You're making a toddler sign a contract about not getting a boyfriend. Like, bro, why are you thinking about that right now? Please calm down and get over it. Stop looking at your child like that. It's weird. It's really weird. Stop it. Let your child be a child and stop putting relationships on them that don't exist. Thank you. Okay, next up we have one that says POV when I go in public with my daughter. A like Karen saying, you let her wear that? A man saying, I hope you own a shotgun. A teenage boy just stares. An older man just stares. A priest just stares. Now, I just want to say that the girl in this video is a teenager. I think she's like 16. And so I have a bunch of things to say about that, of like, I'm glad you let your daughter wear where she wants to, but I'm not giving you any props for that, because your daughter should absolutely be allowed to wear something that she wants to wear. And you don't deserve brownie points for letting her do that, you know? But the comments on this video, like, oh my God, men are the worst. Like, the comments are, damn, she's a beauty. I'd be staring too. All respect, but your daughter is fine as fuck. OMG, this is great. She is beautiful though. Load the guns. What's her at? Your daughter is so pretty. You can call a 16-year-old pretty, right? You can use those terms. I'll give you that one. But I don't like the intentions of all the others, so it really makes your one look really bad. I just like, oh my God, it's so terrible. It's so awful how like normal that is. And it's this thing of like, I feel like that was the intention of posting it too, right? What did you expect to come out of that video? What was the point in you posting it? You're laughing at your daughter being sexualized? Like, you're laughing at your teenage daughter being sexualized? Like, I think it's important to post shit like that if you're going to talk about it at the end. You can post a video being like, when I go out in public with my 16-year-old daughter, I notice that so many people are staring at her and it makes her uncomfortable, and I don't think this is okay. We shouldn't be sexualizing women. We especially shouldn't be staring at teenage girls. Like, there's a really big problem here and we need to stop that and let girls wear what they want. If you were turning this into like an educational video, I absolutely would be for that. However, you are laughing at this and like not calling them out in the comments. You know what I mean? Like, you haven't said anything about that. You haven't called them out. You haven't called them creepy. You haven't told them to stop. Like, it feels like you posted this with the intention of that. You're like showing off how beautiful your daughter is. And that's so weird. Are you like showing off that your daughter gets sexualized? You're like, yeah, I have a beautiful daughter. That's weird. And maybe I'm reading that wrong, but I like, based off of the content of the TikTok and the lack of like response to anything and the lack of actually talking about it being a problem, I have questions about what the motive was here and why you felt the need to post it. Because it's not funny. Having your teenage daughter sexualized, it's not funny. Like, let her wear what she wants. Absolutely. What she wears has nothing to do with her being sexualized, you know? Like, I am a very firm believer in the fact that women are sexualized for what they wear, not because what they're wearing is inherently sexual, but because men can get away with sexualizing them based off of the excuse that what they're wearing means they're asking for it. It's like a weird cycle, right? Of like, a woman wearing more revealing clothing is more likely to be assaulted, right? But that I don't believe has anything actually to do with the fact that she's wearing less clothing, and more to do with the fact that if that happens, you can go to court and be like, she was wearing that, she was asking for it, and get away with it much easier. I don't think it actually matters. It doesn't actually matter. It's about power more than anything else. So it's more just an excuse. And we need to deal with that excuse and not laugh about it. I have never been sexualized more, catcalled more, stared at more, etc. than when I was like 14, 15. Like, that was the height of catcalling, and everyone I know is the same. Every single person I know is the same. Next up, for a minute, I forgot that I was on the internet and I clicked on the recommended search of Daddy's Girl and did not receive what I was looking for, and I was very taken aback. I forgot what the internet was for a moment. This isn't what I was expecting to see, but I made a mistake. I made a mistake. But on the note of actually Daddy's Girl, we have like this TikTok here. It says, when you're daddy's little girl. And it's this dad who has a bunch of sons, and his sons try to go in the room first and he pulls them back and lets the daughter in first. His sons try to grab a drink. He pushes them away and grabs a drink for his daughter instead. His sons are lying on chairs in the pool. He kicks them out so his daughter can lie down instead. And so that's the TikTok. It's favoritism. It's about favoring your daughter over your sons. And we talked about favoritism in the Toxic Boy Moms video as well. But it's just like, it's not, don't. Just don't have favorites. It's not cool. And I get that these are all adults. I'm assuming they're all adults. And I understand that it's in jest and this is a joke. But it's a joke based in reality. I do genuinely believe that she is a strong favorite here. And like, regardless of how old they are, favoritism can do a lot of damage to families, like psychologically to oneself, and then also between relationships between parents and siblings. it cannot just cause jealousy, it can also cause guilt in the person who is the favorite. So his sons could feel jealous of their sister because she has favoritism, and that could lead them to either overcompensate or undercompensate. So it could lead to them spending their entire lives trying to prove themselves valuable and worthy to their father, or it can lead to them giving up caring and not even bothering trying, and like being self-destructive because it doesn't feel like they'll ever be good enough. And it potentially could lead to neither of those things. They could be totally fine, but you're setting them up for those things, you know? And you have a lot of sons. This man has quite a few kids. And the chances of some of them being hurt are very, very high. And then a lot of the time in favorite children, they can feel guilty, which can put a wedge in relationships between their parents, or they can be like over possessive, right? The father could be very over possessive and overbearing, which can then lead to his daughter rebelling against him. It can lead to his daughter cutting him off completely because they just want freedom and space from that. I know a lot of people who have had overbearing parents, which has just led to them being effectively no contact. Like they could be treated like a queen their entire life, but that's too much. It's too much. And there can be guilt because they feel guilty that their siblings didn't receive the same attention. And then there's also just the fact of wanting to be independent and not feeling like you're able to get that when you are around your father, right? Especially when that turns into being overbearing of like who you date, and being over possessive and being like, no one is good enough for my little girl, you're not allowed to date, and like intimidating dates and such. It can just be too much, and it can really ruin relationships. Favoring someone and giving someone all of your love and attention isn't always a good thing. There are limits, there are boundaries, and you need to respect those. And on that, this family makes a lot of videos like this, and like I was just talking about, of them being possessive and not letting them have partners. We'll circle into this video here. So they're out with a couple whom are feeding each other noodles and looking into each other's eyes lovingly. And across the table is this dad with his daughter. And after seeing them do this romantic gesture, her dad covers her eyes and then feeds her, you know, doing the same thing they did. And the caption is, "Pops will always be the only man in her life," which is so strange. It's so weird. Why would you like mimic the romantic gesture that just happened? Firstly, why are you even on a double date in the first place? But that aside, why are you mimicking the romantic gesture? You're covering her eyes to be like, no, you aren't allowed to see romantic relationships because then you'll leave me. I am the only man in your life. And then you are doing the romantic gesture to her to be like, see, you don't need a boyfriend, you have me. You understand that that's weird, right? Like you surely are able to understand that that's weird. Like, leave her alone. Let your daughter experience romance. Let her experience another type of love. You shouldn't be trying to hold her back from experiencing parts of life. Even if it is a joke, it's just not very funny. Having like this weird possessiveness and ownership of your daughter is just not very funny. And especially because these get hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions of likes. And the comments are just filled with other parents being like, yeah, ha ha ha, lock them up, don't let them ever be in relationships, haha, no one is ever good enough for my daughter. And it's like this toxic fucking echo chamber of all these dads validating each other and like locking their daughters up and getting shotguns to threaten boys. Like, it's not healthy. And it's kind of scary. It's this terrible thing of like, why are they always so violent? Why do they always go to like, I'm gonna get a shotgun to protect my dear lord. It's not funny threatening to shoot someone just for like existing effectively. You hurt my daughter and I'll shoot you. That's not the appropriate thing to jump to. Especially because sometimes that does actually happen. That's the scary part. That's the worst part. It's like sometimes that shit actually does happen. And they validate it. And they validate it within each other. And like, sure, some of them are joking, but you don't know who isn't joking in these situations. Like, there are probably way less people joking than you realize. Another category of these toxic girl dads is them forcing misogyny and constantly just complaining about how expensive it is to have daughters. Like this one. And it's this child putting a credit card into her dad's mouth and then going beep, boop, boop, and then he hands her cash. And there are a ton of videos like this being like, having daughters is so expensive. They always have all my money. I love when our daughters go out of town because then I save money that day. Like, having kids in general is expensive, bro. It's got nothing to do with the fact that you had a girl. Like, yeah, girls are expensive, but so are boys. You know, this whole idea that all girls do is shop is just not true. If you want to tell me that your daughter is asking for more stuff than a son would, you're just incorrect. You're just wrong. This varies from person to person, not from like gender, you know? Like my sister and I are polar opposites at this. I always wanted stuff. I have a terribly short attention span. I have ADHD. I am obsessed with something and I need it more than anything I've ever needed anything in my life. And this was way worse when I was a kid. I would get my heart set on something. I'm like, I need it. 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 I would get it. I would have the best time of my life for like 5 minutes. And I'm like, okay, I'm done with it now. I don't want it anymore. And then I would find something else and I'm like, I need that. I need that or I'll die. And then I would get it and I would be like, hell yeah, this is fantastic. And then I would get bored because I just like I couldn't enjoy things for long periods of time. The dopamine would disappear so quick. And it's the same with like clothes and everything else, as I would be obsessed with something and it would be so short-lived. Whereas my sister never asks for anything. She's never asked for anything. She is fantastic at saving money because she doesn't ever feel like she needs anything. She's just like, yeah, I'm happy with what I have. She's always been like that. She's always been able to keep things for a long time. She's enjoyed things. She takes care of things. She's never wanted more. Like her entire life, she's always just been very content and is just happy with the things that she gets and she's able to enjoy them for a long time. And so she wasn't very expensive. I, however, was a very expensive child and I'm still very expensive because I still am obsessed with a lot of things and I still need the dopamine hits. So like, that's got nothing to do with gender. That has to do with personality. And like, I'm sure that there are so many boys out there who want all of the toys. They want new shoes. They want the shoes that fucking light up just as much as any girl does. They want every toy that we do too. Boys are just as expensive. Boys still want stuff. Maybe you don't know that because you don't have a son, but I'm sure if you had a son who was asking for stuff, you wouldn't complain about it because he's probably asking for stuff you understand and also want to use too. Like, are you only complaining about it because your daughter wants more typically girly stuff and you're not interested in that? So you're like, this is so overpriced, it's so expensive. But if she was asking for like, I don't know, sports stuff or like cars or whatever, would you be complaining or would you be okay with it because you also want to participate in what she's doing? Because I feel like it's more the latter. I feel like you just are more interested in the stuff that a son would typically buy, so it doesn't seem like you're spending as much money. But you are. Looking after a whole other fucking human is an expensive thing to do. You have to feed them, you have to clothe them, you have to spend money. I'm sorry, that's how it is. Misogyny is so funny because like, it's so interesting. The crossover between toxic boy moms and toxic girl dads is misogyny. And they're misogynistic in two different ways. And it's just like so interesting that a girl being the favorite, being possessive over a girl is based in misogyny. And then boys being the favorite and being possessive over a boy is also based in misogyny. There's really no winning here. It's so largely misogyny based. And it's so interesting to see. And it's so interesting that these parents don't even seem to realize that because it's so ingrained into us. There's so many examples of just blatant misogyny I've been seeing recently. Like an example, this is off topic, but something I've been seeing a lot and thinking about a lot is that the Barbie movie is coming out soon, right? And the whole thing with the Barbie movie is that it's all about Barbie and he's just Ken, right? But I've noticed that all of the tweets and talk that goes viral is around Ryan Gosling And Ken being like, this isn't about me, it's about Barbie. And everyone just jumping on that, being like, oh my God, he is incredible. Oh my God, look how great he is. He's embodying Ken. He cares about Barbie more than himself. Oh my God, look at him being respectful of Barbie, being respectful of his role. And I've seen fuck all about Margot Robbie or any of the Barbies. I've seen 10 times more about Ryan Gosling than I have about any of the Barbies. And all of the tweets about Ryan Gosling are how he is great because he wants to talk about Barbie. But I don't see anything about Barbie. And it's so funny that, like, no matter what we do, no matter what happens, is that men always become the center. They always become the, like, middle and the focal point. Like, even in these relationships where dads favor their daughters, it largely revolves around how other men are going to perceive their daughters. It's still around other men. The reason they're protective of them is because of other men existing. It's wild. It's always about men. Like, always. Oh my God. Even when it's about women, it's always about men. And that's just the way that it goes all the time, every time. But, like, it's just the way it goes. Now, I'm going to finish this off with a bonus post. I found this when I was planning for a different video, and I just wanted to include it in here because it fits the theme. And that is this photo of a dad measuring his daughter's skirt to see if it's long enough. And it says, dads are awesome, funniest protective dads. I just truly do not understand why. Why do you do this? Why do you have to gatekeep what your daughter is wearing? Why do you have to be so overbearing about what she is wearing and making her change what she's wearing based off of how other people are going to perceive her and based off of how other people are going to react? That's so victim blamey. It's not her fault, you know? Like, stop blaming women, yeah? Stop blaming men for the decisions that they make. By constantly reinforcing the idea that what we wear leads to us being attacked, you are also enforcing that as an excuse and a way to get away with doing that. We need to stop doing this. I said this before, but I like want to scream it from the rooftops because people seem to not get it. A year ago, I tweeted like, I hate when it gets hot because then, you know, I go out wearing shorts and suddenly people start like catcalling and like honking and whistling and stuff, right? And then I had people respond being like, oh, so it is what you wear. I'm like, yes and no. It is because it's validated and excused, but it's actually not the reason. It's all about power, yeah? And if you can get away with it because you've been given an excuse to get away with it, you're going to abuse that power more. You know, like it's got nothing to do with how short her skirt is. And the fact that you have taken it upon yourself to measure her skirt feels like you are like, I am sexualizing you, so I have to make sure other people don't sexualize you too. Like, it's weird, it's gross, stop doing it. Let your daughters wear what they want, let people wear what they want, and tell people to keep their hands to themselves. Tell boys that what people wear isn't an excuse, it's not a reason. You have to be respectful no matter what people wear, no matter how people are dressing and presenting themselves. People are people. No one is ever asking for it unless they are explicitly asking for it. Anyway, in summary, fathers, please leave your daughters alone. Let your daughters date and have relationships. You should want your kids to be happy and healthy and to be in relationships that bring them joy. You should be raising them to know what to accept from a person, and you don't want them to accept from someone being overbearing and controlling, you know? If you are constantly controlling what they do and what they wear, they are going to accept that from a partner as well. You are teaching them what love is. You are teaching them what healthy relationships are. And you are setting a terrible example by measuring their skirts and not letting them go outside or talk to people without your explicit approval, okay? You are fucking them up. You are setting them up to be in unhealthy relationships. And you are setting them up to be hurt, despite what you think you're doing. But I don't really think you care. That's the thing, is I think that it doesn't really matter. Because it's not actually about your daughter's safety. It's about your own ownership and the possession you think you have over your daughter. So stop doing that, please. Also keep in mind that all children are expensive. It doesn't matter what their gender is. All kids are expensive. They're a whole human being that you have to look after. And stop choosing favorites. Love all of your children equally. Give them all equal treatment and equal attention, you know? Like, I don't mean in the sense of like treat every single one of your kids exactly the same. No, because all kids are individuals. They all require different things. They require different types of attention, different types of validation and affirmation and such. Every child requires something different. But in terms of how much energy and love you are putting into your kids, you should be putting an equal amount into all of them. Yeah, stop picking favorites. You're like tearing your own family apart and it's not okay. It's not cool. Don't fucking do that. Just love your kids equally. Love all of them. And let them have their own lives. Let them be independent. Hold their hands, but don't like control how they move. Yeah? Anyway, I'm gonna leave that here. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you want to see another one. Let me know if you want me to like zone in on any of this in particular, or if you know any specific accounts or things to look into along this topic line, and I will do that. I hope that you have enjoyed. A massive thank you to my Sprout and Above patrons whose names are up on the screen right now. And a huge, huge thank you to my Kiwi Cat patrons. Harry, Toulouse, Bobby, Sparrow, Josh, Mandy, Robbie, Ikazel, Jessica, Eldo, Trini, Ida, Raven, Danielle, Inoli Like Cannoli, Elias, Evie, Jewel, Apollo, Taylor is Trying, Boston, and Chris. I love and appreciate you all so, so much. Thank you so much for joining. If you would like to become a patron, you go to patreon.com/savvycat or click the top link in the description. For as little as £1 a month, you get my videos a day early, as well as podcasts a week early. And then for £3 and up, you get things such as outtakes, bonus mini podcasts, live streams, and more. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, The Queer Kiwi, and Twitter, That Queer Kiwi. I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe. Keep fighting. I love you. Mwah.